Hey, so today I'm going to be talking and explaining the differences in the inconsistencies and irregularities of the English language spoken and written. So, even for a native speaker of English, as myself and other people around America and the world as well, it is hard to understand all the rules and written rules of the English language. There are so many different ways to say one word with the meaning of it. So I'll get into detail with that in a minute. So, English orthography is the study of the system of written conventions. So that is the written form of language, how it is written, why it was written, and the rules of the written language of English. It has the concepts of connecting spelling to sound and the sound to meaning. So this explains the different things from the phoneme being the smallest unit of sound all the way to a word or a compound word. So for example, there is multiple ways to pronounce a letter sound, as in a phoneme, which is again just the sound of the letter, like a, ba, ka. So A, B, C all have different phonemes of how you pronounce the words. Letters have different sounds based on the placement of the words as well. So your phoneme, as in the alphabet, so A through Z, all have a long vowel and a short vowel sound, or long sound and a short sound, based on the placement in the word or placement within the sentence or combination of words, which is a digraph, which I'll explain that as well. So let's just take, for example, the words grab and grape. A in this has two different sounds. You have and grab, and then you have grape and grape. Reason why these are two different sounds in the two different words, which is not many letters off, is because of the placement of the vowels. So here you have A and E, so you have a consonant between the A and it's followed by a vowel. So the E, it has to follow by a vowel. This makes for a long A sound, as in grape. Here, and the first one is in grab, you have a short A, which makes it a sound. So different placements have different words in that. As well as digraphs, which is two consonants by each other. That makes a whole new sound, as in ch, like in change, when you put C and H together, instead of k and h, you have ch. So you have a whole new phoneme based on, again, the placement of the vowels and consonants and letters in a word. So here we have ship. Ip. SH by itself, the SH is a digraph. These two letters change in pronunciation when combined to make a whole different pronunciation. So you have ship as by itself, a S would make a S like a snake, or an H would have a H like in hot, but together it is ship. So that is what a digraph is. When you put the words together, it comes up with a new phoneme that is not in the alphabetic language. It's two letters together. So that's how you make a phoneme out of that. So again, because of these different rules of different placements of the letters, the phonemes have different sounds and pronunciation of them. So again, it's hard for native people to even speak these languages, let alone, or our language, let alone English language learners. So our students learning to speak English and have acquisition of English when we can't even perfect or know every rule in English language. So it's hard to separate that and helping those children that don't have the acquisition, that come in later to understand that different rules of language, which I'll continue on with the different rules. The reason why we have so many different rules in language is that English is not one of the main languages that was formed in the beginning of time, there was multiple languages that made up the English language. So we have Scottish, we have German, and we have English, that all came together and made our English language. So we took rules, spellings, different base words like Latin, and made it into our own language and have different language rules from all around the world to create our own. So we have a rule from one language that doesn't pair up with a rule from another, so all the languages doesn't make sense combined because each language has its own rule. So, for example, we have the rule of a homophone. A homophone has the same pronunciation but different meaning. So you have the words, let me make sure, road and road. R-O-D-E is like you rode on something. So you rode in the car, you rode on a horse. Or R-O-A-D, which is the road you drive on. It has the same pronunciation. Like if I was talking to you and I said I rode down the road, a child that's never had English learning and like never spelt it and learned the differences and had the repetition in their head of how to use it in the sentence wouldn't know the difference of these two roads, so they might spell it wrong or use it in the wrong context when spelling out or using one of these words in our written language. So in our written orthography. So then you have the air. So you have A-I-R, and then you have H-E-I-R. Air as when we breathe, that's one air. Then you have air as in like an heir to the throne, someone that's in line for something, or heir to a hotel heiress. You have these people that are in line for something. You use those words, and it might confuse the English language learner what it is, because you're sitting here, you have the same word but two different meanings, so that might confuse them that they're using the wrong word, or they'll try to find another word because they're using this word but in two different contexts and two different conversations or sentences, or they hear you saying it and it might confuse them because you have this word that means one thing in their language but means multiple in ours. And you have scene, like a scene of a movie, like a short clip of a movie or a short clip of a book or play or something, or seen as like saw or see in past tense. So different things, like when you say as seen or they seen the movie last week, and then you go and you talk about a scene in a play, that might confuse an English language learner in knowing what you're talking about, because they just think it's the past tense of saw or see. So that might be confusing to them as well. Okay, let's flip over. So we also have homonyms, which are spelled the same but have different meaning. So we have a lot of homonyms in the English language, like two. You have TWO, which is the number two, which means a counting of any object or just counting. You have TOO, which is the ending of something, be like to add them to, as in also. And then you have TO, which is a preposition that means where you're going, to the movies, to the store. You're telling you that you're about to go to somewhere. You have the words fall and bat. When some people think of the word fall, in the head when you say fall, it might mean you fell to the ground. She had a bad fall. She got hurt. She had an accident. Or fall, some people might think of autumn, the summer season of autumn that they have, and have a different meaning when the word fall. So if I said fall to you, one of those two could come up, but probably not both when you think about it. And then you have bat. Majority of people, when you ask them what a bat is, they're going to say like the sport equipment of a bat. But there's also the animal, the little black bird type animal, that is a bat as well. Sorry about that. So we have two different ways of saying that and meanings of that. So that's a homonym. Homonym. So it has two different meanings, but it's literally spelled the same and sounds the exact same. Again, that's going to confuse an English language learner. We also have the words homographs, which have the same spelling but different meanings, which this one could be a little confusing as well. You have words such as wind, that's W-I-N-D, but also when you pronounce it, it could be wind. So you have wind, like the air that blows, oh, that's a cool breeze of wind. Or you have wind, which is W-I-N-D, which also can sound wind. So like, go wind the clock, or wind down when you're talking to kids that are being loud or active and stuff. You want to tell them to wind down a little bit. So again, so that's a homograph. So they have the same spelling but different meanings and sometimes different pronunciations too. You have dove, D-O-V-E, as in like they dove into the pool, or that bird dove for the food. But dove or dove has the same spelling, different pronunciation again, and different meaning, because dove, D-O-V-E, as well as dove, spelled the same, is the bird. You also have lead, L-E-A-D. When you think of lead, maybe she led the parade, or she was the line leader. Led and lead, the lead, L-E-A-D, I'm sorry, my bad. Lead, to be in the front of something, also means is a metal, is a heavy silver metal, is lead. So again, you have the same word, same spelling, whole different meaning that have nothing to do with each other. You have a heavy metal and then it turns into a verb or an action, is that you led them this way. And then you have an actual noun of the same word, same spelling. Another odd thing about the English language is the different spellings of different pronunciations. So the combination of words have different sounds, which is odd to me. So you have, take for example, the word tough. The O-U-G-H in tough makes the uff sound like U-F-F. So someone's tough, you would think if you were an English language learner, how would you pronounce that using the pronunciation and the phonemes that you learn of these letters in our alphabet? You would think it would probably be T-U-F. That would only make sense, but we count them wrong, but when that is the pronunciation of these letters. But in the English language, O-U-G-H combined make the uff sound. So the G-H at the end, instead of like graph, it makes a f sound. So uff, which is odd to me. And you also have spellings that make a long E, or even like any long vowel sounds is the combination of different vowels together, or vowels and consonants combination. So for example, a long A has multiple ways it can be put into a word to have the pronunciation of A. So like in the word main, here I'll write this, underline it, the AI in main, the AI together make the A. Without the I, the M would be man. In the word wait, you don't even have an A in the word wait, but E-I-G-H-T or E-I-G-H, way is a long A. So that would be confusing to English language learners because they don't understand that E-I-G-H is also a long A sound. And then you have the word great, where G, R, and then the E-A together make the A sound. So the two vowels of E and A together make A again. And then you also have an example of a vowel, consonant, vowel again. So A, consonant, E. A consonant is everything that's not A-U, A-E-I-O-U in the alphabet, but sometimes Y. So consonant. So in this example, ape. The A becomes a long A because of the consonant vowel, but if you take away the vowel in the language, it'd be app. So the different combinations and different words together in the word, or letters together in the words, changes the meaning, changes the sounds and the phonemes in each word or language. So that's so crazy to all these people that are trying to learn language. They don't understand all the written rules. So it's different from the acquisition of language, where when you're young and you haven't learned to read or write yet, but you can speak English, you can communicate different things, you don't have these different rules. So it's confusing to English language learners when they are speaking and learning the acquisitions to learn all these different rules because they don't understand the difference of it. Like, it's confusing. So, for example, again, when you're trying to pluralize or make multiple of items, there's so many ways to make plurals. You have examples of adding S, just an S on some of the words. You have ES on some words. You have remove the Y, put the I, add ES on some words to make it plural in writing. You have the example of the changing of words, such as mouse, multiple mouse is mice, ox, oxen, children, from child. Like, so even that would affect their speaking too. What is the plural of a word? Because if it has different rules for each thing, instead of just add an S or ES, you change the word for multiple words. Like, you're actually changing the whole word, and the base word stays the same. But how is a child that is learning the written language supposed to know that? Even the verbal language, the spoken language, the acquisition for that would be hard for them too. So on the website I was looking at, I did find this matching game, which I thought was pretty cool, that would help the ELL learners, the English language learners in the classroom, be able to acquire the written language as well as the spoken language. It was a matching game with the base word and like different prefixes, affixes. So you have a suffix and prefix that you could add to the word that matches it based on the category. So if you wanted to make a word plural or use it in a sentence, they would have to add the prefix and suffixes to the base word to help them understand how to change it to plural. It was a pretty cool game. It was on the universityofalabama.com, and it was under the English language crazy inconsistencies. And so that was one of the websites I also used for this. Another website I used for my research was Wikipedia, and it was under the English orthography, and then the William and Mary School of Education website also helped me with this research project. But it is important to think about these things and the different structures of language and different written language rules and spoken language rules when speaking to the children and learning even native speakers of English. Teaching those children, it could be confusing, but it would definitely be confusing for the ELL learners. So it's good to keep in mind the different things and the aspects of English language, and it's good to know them yourself so you'll be able to teach them better, find new techniques, look it up online, do the electric approach, and use different ideas from teachers, because it is a good thing, but it is a very difficult thing for these students to learn. All right, thank y'all. Have a nice night.